Absolutely. And to others as well. So it's just uploading now to the stream,
Okay.
live stream, and then we should be live any second. Lovely. I think we're live now. We can begin. Wonderful. So thank you very much for being on my show. You're looking wonderful, as you always do. I've been following you on LinkedIn.
Really?
And yes, I am. Absolutely. The first time I've seen you was with a lovely Mansley Douglas, who had this women conference, and it was all about empowerment and female empowerment. And it was actually quite intriguing to see all these really, really strong personalities, you know.
Yes. And I love Nancy. That's my sister.
Yes.
I love her.
Absolutely yes. Wonderful. No, all of them have been wonderful, and it was really a powerful moment, which you could see.
Yes, that was a great event. I encourage everybody to go back and watch that. It had a lot of emotional things going on, and a lot of truth was shared. It was powerful.
That's right, absolutely. And it came from all sorts of different ways and different areas as well. You know, everyone was talking differently from a different perspective. And this what made it so powerful. And people from all around the world as well, you know?
Yes, because our perspectives are formed off of our experiences in life. Different people that we meet, different things we go through, the different things we've learned along the way on the journey. And so that's what makes having a diverse group of people around you so beautiful, because it opens your eyes to new realities that you never would have known had you stayed in your little closed box. I love diversity.
Absolutely. And that's the beautiful thing about that, because when you talk to one person, it's usually not that vast, but when you have such a big, powerful panel from all around the world, it just makes it magical. And I think it's the same way, like I say about learning languages. You know, you don't just learn the language, you learn the culture, you learn the behavior, you learn the people, you learn different behavioral attitudes, you learn the science behind it. You have so much understanding. It opens such a magical door.
Yes.
And that's what it does with so many different people as well. So may I introduce you quickly? We have Her Majesty, Queen Ameenata. Is that correctly pronounced, hopefully?
That's correct.
You are an expert in human rights consultancy, and also a business consultant, very much dedicated in agriculture, import, export, and extremely dedicated in women empowerment, justice, racial justice, cultural justice, and generally about humanity and humility, peace and love. I've watched so many different of your events and online, and followed quite a few things which you have been doing. You're also a board manager of climate change actions, which is called, I think, Unity of Nations. Is that correct? So you're highly engaged, and that's what actually quite intrigued me, because I love charitable work, not just charitable work in the sense of what you want, where you want to achieve small changes, but you want to have a global impact, to create changes, to not just changes in actions, but also changes in mindset.
Yes.
And that's what's important. You need a powerful personality like yourself, who's strong, who's willing to go against the critiques and fight against that in a very, very intelligent manner and sophisticated manner, to present these things. And you've been doing that wonderfully.
Thank you. Yes, I think it's very important for all of us to do our part to make this world a better place. I think it's incumbent upon us to speak for those who feel like they can't speak for themselves for whatever reason. If you're put in a space, you're put there for a reason. I honestly believe that. And we ought not to take what we've been given for granted. So if the door has been open for me to be in a space where I have a voice and I can speak up, then I'm going to use it. And I think that's very important, because if we don't do that, then where are we going to be as a people, right? Some people, everybody has a role to play in society. And it's important that we play our role. So if your role is to be on the ground, that's just as important as the person who's out front speaking. If your role is to be in the background, that's even more important. You know why? Because the person who's the mouthpiece, the person who's the face of things like myself, I can't do anything without my team.
That's right. Yeah.
My team is everything. Everything I do is because of my team, right? And you don't always see those people. You don't always know who they are, but I know who they are. And I give them credit all the time, because without the people in the back, the person out front can't do anything. Yeah. And that's very important, because sometimes people feel like that they're not important because they're not the one on the flyer, or they're not the one who people are interviewing on a show or whatever. But the real truth of the matter is, it's the people behind the scenes who are the very most important people. They lay the foundation. They keep everything working and running like it should be. And they make my job so much easier. So thank you to my team, who's all over the world, for supporting me. And we're doing this work together, because it's not about me. It's not even about my team, really. It's about the people that we serve, because we do this as a service to humanity. We don't do this for popularity. We don't even get paid for a lot of things we do. We do it because it's the right thing to do.
Yeah. And that is a very noble thing to say. As you said, success comes from a team. It never derives on your own.
Never.
You know, you can never succeed on your own. There's always someone behind, or a tribe behind, as such, you know, who's pushing you through, who's helping you with the everyday dealing, with the everyday operation. And it's nice to see that when you have someone in the forefront, that these things are appreciated and brought forward, because it's so important. We cannot stand by ourselves. We're human beings. We're social beings. We're not born in solidarity. We're not born to make it on our own. We're born in a tribe. We're born as human. And that's what I keep saying to people, regardless of where someone comes from. We have these innate abilities as one human race. That's why I emphasize on that, you know, the racial inequalities and differences have been created by man, means mankind. They don't exist from the beginning of the world. They don't exist from the beginning of human, because we are one human race. Even if you go biologically, scientifically, we are one human race. The other race is animal race, we have plant race, but we don't have different races. We have the same race. And it takes understanding of people to get these messages and find out what is actually the truth behind these reasons. And that was one of the things which I wanted to talk to you also about, besides empowerment and your life. I think especially because nowadays, during the pandemic and post-pandemic, there's so many things, issues coming up where people are speaking up now. You know, the Me Too movement, then Black Lives Matter, and then there's various other movements as well, which are all linked to this racial inequality, which has been created as a form, which I understand anyway, because you can't argue with me scientifically. There's no other race. It's just one human race. That's it. We are genetically very similar to each other. The only difference is because of the geographical differences. If you look at the animal kingdom as well, we have to be adaptable to our environment. And originally, about 500,000-600,000 years ago, if we wouldn't have adapted to our environment aesthetically, we wouldn't be able to survive. Because as someone who's very, very light skinned, with European features, if he or she was to go and live in Africa 1,000 years ago, that person would be spotted by an animal, by a wild lion or tiger from far. It could not hide. We could camouflage, but they could not camouflage. So that's where the reasons come from. Plus, their skin would burn, you know, because of the low melanin level. The high heat, the strong, intense heat wouldn't be able to bear with that. So we have to understand where these scientific differences come from. And on the other hand, we also have to appreciate that they are there, because how boring the world would be if we just had one type of flower all over the world. Different flowers and different colors create a flower bouquet, and a flower bouquet becomes beautiful. Otherwise, the world would be a boring place. So that's how I wanted to start off about these different movements, what your engagement may be about that is, and what your perspective is, what we can maybe do about it.
Right. I think a lot of our problems today stem from a lack of understanding. You know, when you isolate yourself and you don't make an effort to get to know people that don't look like you, that don't think like you, that aren't shaped like you, that whatever, don't dress like you, don't go in the same faith as you, then you have a very limited worldview. And when you lack understanding, then it's very easy at that point to believe things that you hear about people because you don't know any of them, right? So it's easy for people to believe, and I'm going to speak as a Black American because that's what I am. It's easy for people to believe that we are inherently criminal because that's what you see in the movies. It's what you see on TV. That's what they put on the news. So it's propaganda, right? So you think Black people are violent. They like to rob stores. They like to steal and do all these things, right? Because you don't know any Black people.
Yeah.
And then when you meet me, you say, oh my gosh, you're nothing like I expected. I get that all the time. People make assumptions. And then when they meet me, they say stuff like, wow, you're not anything like what I expected. Or I expected you to be like blah, 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 blah. And I always ask them, well, why did you expect that? Why did you have these preconceived notions about me based off what? What did you base that off of? And then they have to go, they don't even know, because these things have been ingrained in us from childhood, from what we see, right? And things that we hear. So that's why I'm really big on step outside of your comfort zone, make an effort to get to know people who are the opposite of you. They have a different faith. They don't look like you. They don't listen to the same music that you listen to. Nothing about them is like you. You need to make an effort to get to know these people, because when I tell you, your life will be enhanced for the better. When you do that, you'll be amazed at what you learn about people, and more importantly, what you learn about yourself. When you make an effort to get to know people, it's very important. And I think we all need to do our due diligence to do that. Yeah.
Absolutely. You said it really, really beautiful. It's about engagement and the lack of understanding which people have. But at the same time, psychologically, as you may know, I'm a psychologist from my background and also engaged in mental health and life coach, mind coach at the moment. Working with neuroscience as well, you know, with brain injury client, which is slightly different. But at the same time, the scientific explanation, psychological explanation of that is people are generally afraid of differences.
Yes.
And that is the problem here. They are afraid of differences in the term of their tribes, in terms of their culture, in terms of their geographical background, in terms of their aesthetics, everything which feels different to what they've known, that feels fearful. And when it becomes a threat, then people start acting differently. But and become defensive as such, and the defense mode can then turn into really aggressive ways in moving forward. And that's where this racial segregation comes from. That's where these different empowerments come from. And if somebody feels they're better than the other person, that's where all these different indifferences come from. But at the same time, what people then are lacking to understand is that ignorance is actually not going to take us any further. Ignorance is just creating war. It's actually a doorway to war. It's nothing else. And
it's deadly, actually.
Absolutely. And I always say to my clients, but whoever I talk to, and in my messages as well, you know, I'm presented on TikTok, on Instagram, on Twitter, on LinkedIn, on YouTube, everywhere. And my messages are always very clear to say that in defense, if there's a threat towards you, so say somebody is racially attacking you, instead of fueling the attack, and that's where emotional understanding, emotional intelligence comes from, instead of defending yourself and fueling that threat and growing their attention, what they actually want, because what they want is somebody who comes aggressively against them, and both become ignorance, both become like a state of confusion, and it creates disaster, it creates conflict, it just creates mayhem. Nothing positive comes out of that. And what it also does, it takes your energy away towards things which are not worth it. You're actually just implementing more publicity, more attention to that person who actually does not deserve it. So it's better than to change and channel your focus to yourself. And start celebrating your own achievements.
Most definitely.
And feeling appreciative about that, and bring it out there. You know, if you want to bring out there, you're a doctor, you have a bachelor degree as well, bring it out there, not in a way that it becomes in similar terms like the other person does, but just do it in a proud way, in an achievable way, in a celebratory way, because that's how you defeat the enemy. You defeat the enemy with your brain. You don't defeat the enemy with any force or defense.
No, violence is not the answer. And sometimes the best thing you can do is to ignore what the other person is doing and just model the way, right? So when somebody is out here yapping and doing the wrong thing, you don't have to come back with a verbal attack. You don't have to send them a threatening email. You don't need to do any of that. All you need to do is stay true to yourself and your mission. Keep doing the work, and your work will speak for itself. And when people see that, when that person sees that, it's going to speak volumes. Sometimes your silence speaks way louder than anything you can ever say. Absolutely. Right? So, and that's something that a lot of people need to learn. And when in times of trouble, the best thing to do is to be quiet, be still, and focus on the mission that was given to you.
Yeah.
And you walk in your mission, and you walk in your purpose, and everything will work out. But the minute you start looking over here and looking over here, now your focus is off. You're not even working on your mission because you're distracted, right?
That's right.
And that distraction is not of positivity. It's not going to make the world a better place. It's not going to enhance your life. It's going to stress you out and make you sick, because stress will kill you. Yeah. So you have to just stay focused on your path and be quiet. I always tell people, don't let anybody steal your joy, because they didn't give it to you, so they can't take it from you. Your joy is something that is yours.
Yeah.
Grab onto it and you hold it and you protect it. And you don't let anybody take that from you. And as long as you keep that in mind and you stay on your path, I'm telling you, you will be blessed. Things will work out, and you will be making changes in the lives of people that you don't even know, because you don't know who's watching you. You don't know who's learning from you, from the example that you're setting. Yeah. So we need to always it's difficult, but we need to always try to stay in a positive mindset, speak positivity and love into the world, and not things like I can't, or I won't, or it's too hard, or, oh man, this happens. So what? You know what? Life happens to everybody. Yeah. Find a way over the barricade, right? Go over it, go around it, move it, go under it, however you have to, but you keep going. That's the thing.
Absolutely. And that's so beautifully said. Exactly. And my way forward with that, what you absolutely said, and I 100% agree with that, is because some people find it difficult to control their emotions. I brought this element in as I would say as a reward, because we human beings live on a reward mechanism. As soon as they receive a reward, they start feeling better, and they start feeling liberated and motivated. So as a tool in the Shafak effect, which is my coaching program, I added a reward mechanism. So part of that is about, instead of defense mechanism, channel your energy towards your achievement and start celebrating these. You know, wherever you want to put them up on TikTok, or you want to put them up on Instagram, or you want to generally just celebrate these things, but do it for yourself. Don't do it to show it to anyone else. Do it for yourself. And that's how people will pick up on that. And wherever it's the enemy, or wherever it's even other people who may not feel that strong, but become inspired by that. Because by publicizing these things, we're actually reaching out to a wider audience. And that is the goodness about social media as well, that you can reach to any part of the world.
Yes, and that's what makes things so beautiful. That's how I was able to connect with you. You're in a whole nother country. I mean, this is just a beautiful, beautiful thing. And if people would just embrace it and get down with the get down, so they say, you know what, I'm just go with the flow. I mean, there are some wonderful things happening. The pandemic was horrible. People have lost their lives. People are suffering. They're sick. They're out of work. That's all really not a good thing. However, there are some positives because it forced people to get online and start doing things and connecting in ways that they never would have done before. It opened up new business opportunities for people. Things are going more global now. I mean, to me, I don't like to focus on that negative stuff. It is sad, but I do want to point out that not all is bad and lost. You know, there are some good things that have happened. There are good things that are happening. The world is changing and we need to be able to adapt to it. And we need to embrace it. And I'm really big on, now that things are just so global, I want to build a global sisterhood where we are encouraging each other and standing up for each other and supporting each other, because oftentimes, and this really bothers me, women in particular, it happens with men, but women in particular are put in positions where they're doing this.
Yeah.
We're trying to compete with each other. We're trying to outdo the other one, outshine the other one, or we're saying different things to tear the other one down. And I sometimes think we don't even realize we're doing it because we're so conditioned, right? We're so conditioned. And I want to show a different way. I want to show that it doesn't matter if you live in India, the United States, if you're on the continent of Africa, if you're in the UK, if you're in South America, it doesn't matter, because women, we are women, right? We don't compete, we collaborate. We support, we encourage, we cheer the other one on. We cry when one of us cries. We celebrate when one of us celebrates. That's what we do. And I so want to get that message across to women globally. I'm starting a platform where we can tell our stories. And why is that important? Well, it's important because sometimes when we're going through things, we think we're the only one suffering. Yeah. We're the only one going through this. And I try to show people that life happens to all of us. It may manifest differently in each of our lives because of our environment, who we know, our thought processes. But what's an emergency to me and a crisis to me is still a crisis, whether it's one to you or not. It's, to me, I'm living it. It's a crisis for me, right? And so if I'm able to tell my story and what I learned from it and how I got through and how I was able to cope, you don't know what encouragement that gives to another woman on the other side of the world who thought she was the only one feeling the way she's feeling. And to hear that story might be the one thing that encourages her to wake up the next morning. It's important. And I'm just getting, because I'm telling
that's
you.
Absolutely fine. I'm loving that.
Because this is so important to me, because I talk to women all over the world crying, going through things. And I'm saying, my sister, you are not alone. Somebody else is feeling the same way you feel, but she doesn't have any place to tell that to anybody. She has nobody. So I said, you know what? I'm going to do something about that. And my platform, I'm praying to God that it's ready by January to launch. And I want everybody to just send me their videos, and you tell your story the way you want to tell it. And you encourage that next woman that you don't even know. Oh my gosh, the power in that. I'm excited for the whole thing, because if we can just let other women know that, you know what, somebody in Mexico loves you. Somebody in the UK loves you. Do you know what that would do to somebody who thinks they have nobody? Absolutely. To somebody who just lost their husband and feels like now she's in this world by herself, to connect with somebody else who lost their husband, and they can get together and encourage one another and share experiences with one another. Wow. It's just awesome.
That sounds fabulous. I'm loving that, actually.
Yes.
I'm always a really, really strong advocate of talking out. I mean, if you watch any of my podcasts, I talk very openly about my life. I talk very openly about my emotions. And the reason why that is because I think a lot of, and you're right, a lot of the times the stigma has been put in on specifically women, less men about it. That, oh, you shouldn't be talking about it because it puts shame on you or on your history or on your children, on your family. It may not, people may not look at you in the same way, but no, we need to talk out. We need to break the stigma. There's nothing wrong with that. I always say we cannot escape from our past, whether good or bad. All our experiences are experiences which make us, which create us.
Yes.
And we need to embrace them. We cannot run away from them because they will always follow us. Otherwise, we'll be lost as human beings. We wouldn't know where our identity is. And in order to embrace our identity in the journey of self-discovery, which is one of my strong fundamental points in the Shafak effect, is that you embrace everything you have and gone through.
Yes.
Do not judge it. Do not create or live in that. Try to embrace it and try to find out what you learned from this.
Yes.
So in order to learn from that, you will create opportunities, and you will create more doorways for your present, because we haven't seen the future, but we can build our future from the foundation stone of our character, of the experiences, of the memories, of every event which has happened in our life and our human being, our characteristics, our attributes. That's how we build our future. And the more we let go of these things and embrace them more and let them enter and leave our life without being affected by that, but taking out the good things, what we learned from that, the more we will evolve and we will progress.
That's right.
And we will be free in our minds.
Yes. And let me say this. Let me look into the camera when I say this. There's nothing wrong with being wrong. Okay. Oftentimes we fail to try things because we're afraid that we think we're going to fail. The only time you fail is if you quit.
Yeah.
If you keep trying, it's not a failure. It's a learning opportunity, an opportunity to take a step back, see what didn't work, reevaluate it, and do it better the next time. And you keep on doing that until it works, right? You never quit. And for those of us, and I'm included in this, I've had a lot of so-called worldly failures, but to me, they weren't failures because I learned from them, I grew from them, and I'm a better person today because of them. Those are the stories. Instead of hiding that stuff and being ashamed of it, those are the very stories that we should be telling, because those are the things that are going to encourage the next person to keep trying, because they know that everything doesn't always work the way you planned it. Everything doesn't always work the first time. Great if it does, but if it doesn't, it's okay. It's okay. If I can just get everybody to understand, it's okay to be wrong. It's okay to make a bad decision, because nobody is perfect. I'm not perfect. I haven't always done the right thing, but you know what? When I figure out I've done the wrong thing, I go back and try to make it right. You go back and try to make it right, and then you move on and you tell those stories. Why do you tell those stories? Because that's life and it's real, and everybody goes through it. There's no shame in it. There's no retribution that's going to come because you told the truth about a situation. That truth, you need to embrace it because it's who you are. It's how you got to where you are today. It's a stepping stone that you had to use to get to be the greatness that you are right now today. So you need to love it, embrace it, and tell that story. Yes, it's a testimony. Tell it.
Absolute truth. Exactly. That's exactly what it is. Where I'm really so adamant about to embrace these things, to tell people you need to really. And the good thing about that is, I mean, it's a simple understanding. If we have continuously success, how are we going to measure success? We cannot measure success because we wouldn't have nothing to compare it to. And in order to measure success and to have this progressive way in evolving and becoming who you are, we need to have failures and we need to have setbacks. Otherwise, even in physics, in mathematics, if you just have a plus sign and it keeps going up, you wouldn't have no measurable component with that. In order to have a measurable component, you need the negative with that. So it's the same way in life. We need to have failures. We need to have setbacks. We need to have up and downs to find out what success actually means. What empowerment means, what positivity means, what happiness means, what joy and peace means. You wouldn't know otherwise.
Yes, I try to tell people, I'm going to date myself right now because people probably don't even know these two people that I'm going to mention, but I'm going to say this. People, when I was younger, my brother was taking piano lessons, right? And he thought he was going to sit down and on the second day play like Little Richard or Elton John, right? And I used to be like, no, you got to start with the boom, boom. He thought he was just going to sit down and boom. And that's how we approach life, right? We think, oh my gosh, I have this awesome business idea. I'm going to open up my business tomorrow and make $10 million. And you're like, no, I mean, that could happen. I don't want to discourage you. But the reality is that's probably not how it's going to work. It's like this, right? It has its ups and downs and this and that and twirls and all kind of stuff. And so if we don't know that going in, we set ourselves up for disappointment.
That's right.
And so we've all seen the iceberg, right? Where up here is all the success and then you don't see what's under the water. I think we need to start talking about what's under the water.
That's right.
We need to bring that out to the forefront so that people have a realistic expectation of how things really work. Because I think that would help a lot of people with their emotional problems, depression, and all these things, because they go in with unrealistic expectations. And then when those expectations aren't met, it has a negative effect on their emotional state. It's unhealthy.
Yeah.
So if we want to make the world a healthy place, we need to be realistic about things, and we need to tell the truth and be honest with people and say, you know what? You didn't get to this radio show that you have right now and the success you're at right now because you woke up yesterday and did it. It took a lot of hard work, right? It didn't happen overnight. And we need to be honest and tell people that, because they see you and they're like, oh my gosh, I want to be like her. She has this, she has that. And that's great. You motivate people. That's awesome. But we also need to be telling the story that she didn't get there by accident. She put in some work, right? We need to share that with people so that they know.
That's absolutely right. Absolutely. I mean, people do get this misperception, and that's the negative side of social media, unfortunately. Where they all see this glamorous way and this successful way. And I know a lot of people ask me that question as well, you know, by all means, I'm nowhere close to even your popularity or someone else. But at the same time, because they continuously see me on social media the last few months where I've been building up my platform, and I have become quite successful, they don't actually see the work which I put behind. Exactly. And at the same time, I'm an advocate of natural beauty. That's what I do. And the reason why I'm doing that is because I see, and that's a part of what you're mentioning as well. It's a very, very fundamental part that girls and female especially are looking up to people like myself or like somebody else who they think, I wish I looked like her and she must be doing a lot of things and so on. But no, I'm literally advocating about, I've got no filter on. I keep saying and put my skin very close to the camera often and say to them, look, I'm not wearing any makeup apart from my little eyeliner and, you know, a bit of eyebrows, pencil, and that's it. My skin is natural. And the reason why I'm putting it out there is because you need to believe in yourself to progress.
Yep.
If you're hiding behind a mask and you're putting all these different facial filters on and whatsoever, you will actually not know who you are. You will lose your identity somewhere along the line. And that's why this misconception of this false fame comes from as well. You need to be true to yourself to progress. Otherwise, it's not sustainable. And it will not actually get you to somewhere where you feel actually happy and fulfilled. And I do get, on the other hand, a lot of kind of threats from men as well, who don't seem to believe that I'm talking the truth. They think it's unreal or it's just lies as such. But the way how I come across is I just say to them, look, I can just be who I am. I don't have to justify myself to anyone who I am. I can show you who I am, but that's it. You make your mind up, because I'm advocating for the ones who are maybe weaker, who do not have the confidence to come out and say these things. So I want to actually encourage them to do so. And that is part of that. You know, it all merges together. The reality does need to come out of that, where we need to show what actually the truth really is, which is why I talk so openly about my traumas as well, how I overcome them, and how I actually look at them, how I embrace life, because I show them the positive outcome of that yes, I have gone through all this trauma, but you can do it too. It's about where your focus lies and what you see from these things, what you learn from these things. You know, for instance, one of the languages which I've learned, Punjabi, I've never grown up in a Punjabi household, but because of a very abusive relationship which I had in the past, just by listening to that household, I learned their language.
Wow.
So I got something out of that, you know, I learned their behavior, I learned their attitudes, which I'm now using to understand other people who I'm working with. That's a blessing to have, which I think not the action itself, which somebody had over me, but what I've learned from this experience, that's a blessing. Otherwise, I might have not become a psychologist and a coach how I am today. I might have not become a natural empath if I hadn't gone through all these experiences. So if you change your perspective to life, to experiences which you are going through, and anyone, as you rightfully said, has some form of experiences, negative experiences and or traumas in their life, good or bad or more or less, but it's how we look at it, what we take out of that, how we embrace these things, and how we use and apply these things into our life. That's what counts. That's what makes you strong, and that's what makes you smart and progressive.
Yes, and I want to touch on something you said, because it rings home for me about your natural beauty. Because as you see, I don't have makeup on. I don't have anything on, and my hair is natural. I don't have any chemicals in my hair, and I take a lot of flack for that. You know, being on an international stage, because the world wants everybody to conform to what I call European standards of beauty. I don't conform to those. I'm not a size 2. I'm a bigger person, and I love me, right? I don't wear makeup. I don't chemical my hair. If I want to straighten my hair, I can flat iron it for the day, but then I'm going to wash it right back out. My hair is curly, and I embrace all of that about me. This is how God made me, and I'm beautiful and acceptable. Let me say that again, ladies. You are beautiful and acceptable just the way you are. Absolutely. You don't need to spend thousands of dollars on makeup, on implants, on lip injections. Dress in the body that you have, because you know what? It's yours and it's beautiful. We need to stop letting society dictate to us what we should look like. Because all that is, if we really understood what the purpose of propaganda is, to make money. So if they convince you that you're ugly, you're going to go out and spend all this money trying to make yourself not be ugly. If they convince you that you're not cute because you're a little bit overweight, I'm a lot of bit overweight, and I don't, you know, I eat healthy, but I'm still a bigger person. And I could do better. And I admit I could do better, but that doesn't make me ugly and unattractive. No. Right. And it doesn't make me want to go break my bank account to buy some pills that's going to supposedly the miracle pill. Miracle pills don't exist, ladies. We need to just stop putting these drugs in our bodies and letting these commercials and stuff tell us these things. Yes, we all should be healthy. Yes, we should eat right. We need to exercise. We need to drink our water. We need to do all these things. And I'll be the first to admit I fall short in some of those areas. But you know what? It doesn't make me unworthy of life. No, absolutely. Absolutely. And that's very important. It is very important. And I mean, I've said that very, very openly as well. In my last relationship, I was with the narcissist, which was difficult as well. But because he had really bad eating habits, I was never a big person generally. I've always been built quite athletic and petite. But being with him and eating quite late night, really having bad eating habits and adapting that with him actually started making me put on weight. And even though I was never big as such or nobody could see it, but I was feeling unhappy. And this was not for somebody else. I was not being myself. So I put on 3 stones.
3.5 stones, which is a lot for myself.
Right.
Now where I separated, I went back into my old habits, and that's just me doing it. Means not eating big meals after 6 o'clock in the evening, just having fruits in the evening if I'm peckish, for instance, have a glass of milk. And during the day I can eat, but I've never eaten unhealthy anyway. But just the way how I changed the things, and then doing my exercises back again.
Right.
I was professional athlete when I was very young. Yes, I was in the German national team in my teenage years. Thank you. I was in the 10 best ones and won a lot of gold medals and certificates for my team. So it was wonderful. And now I was kind of seeking back to that time, not in a professional way, just for myself. So I started doing yoga again. And just by combining these two things and then moving a bit more, walking a bit more, I then lost now 3 stones.
Congratulations.
And thank you. So I'm quite pleased with that. But that drive only came from myself. It didn't come from any beauty regimes or any kind of things which are put up on the social media, or from any kind of companies who are promoting something. It came because I was unhappy.
And that's what's important, because it came from within.
Yeah.
So that's my point. We should not let outside forces. Yeah. Now, granted, if you go to the doctor and they say your health is, your life is whatever, we need to listen, right? Yeah. But we shouldn't be so controlled by the media and society that we become unhealthy in our mind, in our emotions. And because stress will make you physically sick. There's so many negatives to it all the way around that we really need to avoid that. So yes, I want everybody to be healthy. I want us to eat healthy. I drink a lot of water. I drink like a gallon of water a day. People always ask me, your skin and, you don't look your age. And I'm thankful for that. That's a blessing to me, but I can still do better. And I work on it day by day. I get a little better. I implement small changes, and it's going to happen, but it's going to happen when it happens. It's not going to happen because I rushed and went and bought some pills and all these things that at the end of the day are not good for us.
No, I mean, the main point is you're true to yourself. And that's what takes the stress off. You're true to yourself. You're actually not leaving it. Like a lot of people I see are leaving it. As you said, they go and grab with a quick fix. They want pills for that. They want other things. No, in order to become better and feel better or healthier, whatever you want to be, you need to put on the work yourself.
Yes.
You need to implement work. So if you think you want to have an athletic body, go and do some gym or go and do some exercises. Otherwise it's not going to happen.
Anything worth having is worth working for.
Absolutely.
That's what you have to remember.
Absolutely.
You gotta put in the time. What did my friend say to me one day? She said, you have to put in the time if you want to be that dime.
But that's absolute truth. That's absolute truth. There's no quick fix in anything, And in the verge of these things where we want all these quick fix, where these girls and women, even men a lot, want to copy a lot of people, forget about themselves. They don't even know who they are no more. They have an identity crisis, because suddenly when they reach, even if they reach 70% of what they are aiming for, they don't actually know where they exist, where they belong. And that is the sad thing about that. You need to actually be true to yourself in order to evolve. Because when you are true to yourself and you believe in yourself, you embrace all your beings, your experiences, yourself, that's when you head the right way. That's when you make it right. That's when you move around in the timely manner how you should be doing it, without any external pressures, without any external influences. You're just doing it for yourself. And that is the important thing. The crucial factor is about self-belief, self-love, and self-acceptance. Yes. And once you reach that, then the world is your oyster. You can achieve anything, and you will achieve it in a way that it will become realistic. It won't be a goal which you're just aiming, looking at somebody else. It will be a goal of your own.
Right. And what people also I try to explain to people is it's hard for other people to love you if you don't love yourself.
Yeah.
Self-love is the best kind of love going, right? And you'll get there. For those people who are having self-doubts and stuff, you'll get there. All you have to do is just practice focusing on the positive, because everybody, there's something positive about you. Don't focus on my nose is too big, or no, but your eyes are beautiful. Pick something about yourself that you like and focus on that. And guess
Absolutely.
what? As you do that, you'll start loving everything about yourself.
Absolutely.
And if that means you have to get up every morning and stand in the bathroom and tell yourself you're beautiful, and if you're a man, you have to tell yourself, you know what, I'm strong and I have the perfect muscles, you do that. You do that because words have power.
Absolutely.
Speak it. That's right.
And the way how you can compare it is, if somebody is actually derogatory towards you, words have power because it affects you. So why wouldn't you use your own words to motivate yourself? So,
exactly.
you know, our brain works in so magical ways. We are being programmed by our upbringing, by environment, by our culture, by our geographical differences, aesthetic, everything which we learned. We've absorbed it like a sponge. So at the same time we've learned something, we can also unlearn unhealthy things.
Yes.
And we can reprogram our mind in that terms, just to make people understand, or recondition our mind by telling ourselves certain things and making our brain believe that over time. And the best way, what you've presented just now, is that's one of my methods as well. It's actually psychologically, it's research based, where you stand in front of the mirror every morning and tell yourself everything possibly positive which you can think of. So you notice everything which you like, wherever it's your eyes, wherever it's your mouth, wherever it's your skin, whatever it is, it might be. And you tell yourself you're beautiful. Your smile is nice. You know, you compliment yourself. And whilst you're doing that, you look into your eyes. And the difference, what it does is your brain absorbs these things. Even if you don't believe it, it does absorb these things. And the more expression you give to your own self, telling yourself these things, it will connect the expression with the words you're telling your brain and adapt them over time.
Yes.
As simple as that. And override the negative thought process.
You see how powerful that is? And you explained it perfectly. That's why you're the psychologist. You explained that perfectly. And it's powerful because, I mean, that's something simple and it's free. So you can't even use the excuse of I can't afford it, because it doesn't cost any money to do it, right? That's something that everybody can do. We can make that do it while you're brushing your teeth if you have to, right? If you wake up late brushing your teeth, just be telling yourself, I got beautiful white teeth. You know what I'm saying? Something every day, get up and say something, because it matters. It matters. Yes. Oh my gosh. That's so powerful. Important. I'm telling you, that's powerful. Once before when I used to work in a law enforcement field, and I had this caseload, right? And I had a person she was always downing herself. And so finally I said to her, I gave her an assignment, and I said, for the next 30 days, I want you to commit to getting up in the morning and going in the bathroom and telling yourself 3 reasons that you have to live. By the end of that 30 days, when I saw her the next time, she was a completely different person. In 30 days, she was completely different. She even looked different. She had a sparkle to her eyes. And I was like, is this the same person that I was in here trying to talk off a ledge just a few weeks ago? I'm telling you, it's powerful.
It is. Absolutely. Absolutely. We don't even realize that, you know, as I said, if I explain that to people, they often can't relate to that. But that's why I explain it in a way that they can understand it. Because if we look at children, we have an innate ability to rejoice, to celebrate, to be happy of our achievement. But as soon we grow up and we have too much knowledge, too many influences in our mind, suddenly we lose this kind of innate ability. Where is that gone? If we're naturally born with that as a child, as a toddler, as a baby, to celebrate our achievement, to create happiness, and to look at yourself and just laugh like a silly person, why shouldn't we do that as an adult, you know?
Exactly. We need to find a reason to smile and laugh every day.
Absolutely.
You know,
Absolutely.
we always hear people say life is too short for whatever, but my phrase is life is too long to be depressed and sad and not have a reason to laugh and celebrate
That's
and
right.
encourage each other and have fun.
And life would
is
be
meant to
wasted.
be lived.
Life would be wasted. Life would be wasted
Exactly.
if you don't do that. And
life is meant to be lived.
Yeah,
we got to live it. And you want to enjoy the time that you have here, however long or short it may be. We don't know.
No.
But you know what? While I'm here, I'm going to live my life. And when I say live it, there's a difference between living and existing.
Yeah.
We have to live it, and you have to be intentional with your life, which means is you're just not out here happenstance. No, you're being intentional. You have a mission, you're doing things, you're encouraging people, you're making this world a better place for the next generation coming up behind you, something, but you're doing it with joy, with a smile on your face, and you're happy about whatever. The sun came up today and it's not raining. Yay! Right? Find something to celebrate every single day.
Yeah, absolutely. And that's
Every
so
day.
Beautifully said. To celebrate every single day, or to celebrate even every single moment, is when you start thriving in your life. You know, you're not existing no more, as you rightfully said. You start thriving, you start glowing, you start projecting an aura of where people want actually like a ray of sunshine, a part of that, to embrace it to their own, to use it in their own life. And that's how you should be in general. And I'm not saying you should be, you can be smiling or laughing all the time. You're not allowed to be unhappy. That's not what it's about. People misconceive these things. It's about understanding yourself and being kind to yourself. So allow yourself to go through various emotions. That's another thing which takes actually, or removes the bitterness away, what often women have with each other, this revenge, this challenging business where they want to put each other down. As soon you take that away and you embrace things, you actually celebrate yourself, you actually celebrate life itself, and be kind to yourself. Allow yourself to go through even bad times, for instance. You know, if I'm not feeling well, it's okay not to feel well. Go through the bad time, go through a day of crying, go through a day of pain, and come back the next day and take over the world again.
Exactly.
Because all this baggage will be off your head, and you will feel recharged, rejoiced again, and you can come forward and step into the world again.
Yes, tomorrow's a new day. And I tell people all the time, you know, it's okay to be angry. Yeah. Because that's a normal human emotion. What matters is how you respond to the anger.
That's right.
Right? And that's with any emotion. It's okay to be upset. It's okay to be sad. It's okay. Your response to it is what matters, because that's going to dictate the outcome of those emotions.
That's right.
So we have to be healthy about how we respond to things, and we have to embrace the way we're feeling. You can't just cast it aside. You have to deal with it, because if you don't, it will deal with you.
Yeah. Take charge of your situation. Take charge of your emotions, because no one else will, or no one else can really, if you don't allow them to do so. So the more you take charge of your own emotions, the easier life will become. And at the same time, don't hold on to someone else's emotions or someone else's threat. Do it for yourself and manage that, and try to understand it, how you can move forward from that.
Yes. Oh my gosh. That's so powerful. Yes. And I hope everybody received that heard it too. I hope they received that deep down.
Yes, I mean, I keep preaching that over and over again because I believe it myself. And I think if I hadn't gone through a lot of various experiences, I may have not understood them so properly in that sense. You know, working in the mental health sector from the last 10 years and then progressing as a psychologist and now as a coach, it just has enriched me with also not the experiences which I had in the past, but gave me the understanding of what they actually mean.
Right.
And that's what I try to teach people or preach to people, that once you start discovering yourself and you embrace everything what you have, what you've gone through, what you persist, what you have, what even in your characteristics, in your attributes, then you can start analyzing and dissecting them into healthy, unnecessary, and necessary things, and removing the things which are not good for you. Because yes, understanding and awareness of these things is of yourself is very, very important. Once you reach that level, then you can begin to heal, and you can begin to progress. You can begin to feel happy. You know, one thing I always mention about that, because of my past relationship, I went through a lot of childhood abuse and trauma. And that then followed into 2 really long abusive relationships. From one to another. And once I came out of that, I was suffering with a chronic fatigue syndrome in my last relationship, which nobody could explain. It's not a medical condition as such. It's more a psychological condition where I feel exhausted all the time. So I was working all the time anyway, but mentally I was always exhausted and fatigued. As soon as I came out of that relationship, a few weeks of anxiety passed through, because I've never been single before in my life, not since I was a teenager anyway.
Right.
So that kind of state of change did create some form of anxiety, because it was something new I was entering in. But once that stage passed, everything was lifted. This chronic fatigue syndrome was lifted. I started feeling happy again. I was automatically, instantly at peace. Despite different other stress factors going on, I could manage them because internally I was at peace. Internally, I was happy and fulfilled. And that's why you need to discover yourself. Once you have that inside you, it's such a powerful tool, because anything comes in your way. I'm not saying you will always be happy with challenges, but you will be able to manage them.
Exactly. And you know, sometimes we go through things in life, they are to grow us, but sometimes we go through things in life so that we can be a testimony to somebody else down the road that we don't even know we're going to meet, right?
Yeah.
Or somebody that's going to hear our story that we never thought we would be able to meet, or they would be able to hear our story. But that's why I always say we need to embrace the things we've been through. We talked about that earlier. And the reason for that is not only is it for self-growth and to strengthen us and to help us to be better people, but because that might be the very thing that saves somebody else's life.
That's right.
And if I can stress that, that's really important, because people matter.
Yeah.
I don't care how much money they have or how much money they don't have. It doesn't matter. Every person matters.
Yeah.
No one person on this planet is any more important than the next, right? And we need to understand that. The homeless person on the street is just as important as the person in the White House. Their life has value.
Absolutely.
And we all need to be doing our part to make sure that that person knows they have value.
Yeah.
Because if it's not for somebody telling you had value, where would you be?
Absolutely.
Somebody cared for you and helped you. You didn't get to where you are today by yourself. I didn't get here by myself.
Yeah.
Everybody needs somebody.
Yeah.
And if I can be that somebody that encourages this next person to get up the next morning, then I want to do that. Absolutely. So I think that's just important. We need to see value in everybody, no matter who they are, no matter where they came from, no matter their background.
And you know, the other good thing or outcome of that also is the blessings you get from the people who actually catch up on that, or even that person you're helping.
Exactly.
That person will pray for you, that person will talk good about you. You know, these blessings which you receive from that, people don't actually realize how valuable these things are for yourself as well. So everything is reciprocated and comes both ways. So what you're doing, you're actually getting out of that as well. You're not just bringing it out and helping someone, you're actually gaining something from that as well. And what it also does is subconsciously it actually creates a healing factor for yourself. It gives you a recognition, it gives you a self-assurance of your value too. So it all comes on this subconscious human level, which works in both ways, but you're just creating positive things, positive outcomes of these things. You know, the other day I was on live on TikTok. I went to Brixton for something, and I was sitting at a cafe in the morning, just like a cafeteria, and having my breakfast, and a homeless man came along. And what I usually do is I don't give or promote support them with money. I generally don't, because I know they're going to use it for the wrong reasons, whether it's for drugs, whether it's for alcohol. So I don't want to endorse that. Right. But what I know is what our human needs are is food. Everybody needs food. No matter who we are, how rich or how poor we are, we always need food. Yes. So he came to me asking me for some change. So I said, I don't have any change, I'm afraid, but are you hungry? Would you like to eat something? So his face just lit up suddenly and he started being happy. Yes, I would like to have this and that. And I called the waiter over and I said to the waiter, and that's nothing special which I'm doing. I just feel, you know, this was just something that person needed. And I said to the waiter, give him anything he needs. And I was asking him, would you like a hot drink as well? Because it was quite cold on that morning. And yes, he started explaining the waiter what he wanted then. And suddenly these, as you said, you don't know who you're influencing with that as well, with that action. These supporters, which I had, the audience which I had on my life, they were watching me doing these things and listening to me and started commenting on that. Oh, wow, that's so kind of you. I never thought of that. So I started then explaining, absolutely. I started then explaining, this is not a big gesture. If I can spend £8 on my breakfast, why should I not be able to spend a couple of pounds on that person? You know, otherwise I shouldn't be going out and eating something, because that's not the right way to do so. So if I'm able to afford that, then I should be able to afford that for the other person as well. Food doesn't mean nothing. It helps. Right. So I could inspire then a lot of people in doing so, or in taking something out of that without actually meaning to do so. And that's how you bring the message across. Your intentions and your actions count.
Change making in action. I love it. I love it.
Absolutely. And without putting up any kind of characteristics, which is not me, just be yourself. And just
be yourself.
Absolutely.
Say that again, my sister. Say it nice and loud.
Just be yourself.
That's right.
That is the beautiful thing about that. Once you be yourself, you can conquer anything you want.
Anything. And like you said, you never know who's watching. And I guarantee you, the people that saw that, I guarantee you within the next 30 days, they're going to do the same thing to somebody else. It's a, what is it? What is that saying? Pass it forward. Yeah, it's a ripple effect. And they say you pass it forward. That's what they're going to do.
Absolutely.
They're going to do it.
Yeah, absolutely. And even with messages, you know, no matter what you say to somebody, what you express yourself to somebody, that's why we have to be mindful in how we are expressing ourselves to other people as well. It can cause a ripple effect, negative or positive, in both ways. And if you want to create a positive impact, you have to be positive and human and humility and loving and care and warmth, with all these attributes. You have to come and reflect that to the world, because otherwise it's not going to create the impact which it should be creating in a positive way, you know.
Exactly. Wow. Yes. And I'm so glad that you were able to capture that special moment on TikTok, because that means we don't know how many. I don't know how TikTok works. I'm not on there, but I'm assuming that you get, it's like anything else. A lot of people saw it. And so, everybody's going to be mimicking that. And oh my gosh, that's powerful.
And I did even explain that I don't give money out. And I did explain the reasons, because I want people to understand what these differences are. If you're helping somebody, help them with a purpose. Don't just think what you're helping and create even more difficulties in their life. Be a bit smart and mindful about that, what people's needs are.
Exactly. So that there's power in what you said. And I know I'm going to take that and move forward with it. I normally, like if I don't eat out a lot, but when I do, if I see somebody outside, I'll buy them a cheeseburger or something, but it's never like a meal. So now I'm challenged to do better.
I just think to myself, God gave me,
cheeseburger and the soda, I guess.
God gave me something. I think if God provides me with resources, then it's my responsibility to share these resources in a meaningful way. That's what it is, not to waste them, in a meaningful way.
To whom much is given, much is due.
Absolutely. So it's not about how many presents I buy to somebody or how many Christmases there are or birthday presents there are. That's not what it's about. It's about how much meaning you can create in somebody else's life. That's what it's about. To the people
building the other person up.
Exactly. To the people who are in need as well. Yes. That's why you should be differentiating too. Preserve your energy to the people who are actually in need of this energy, not just anybody. That's another thing which I had to learn as well, because being a natural empath and being with a narcissist, narcissists actually absorb your energy in a very, very difficult, unhealthy manner. So you're drained. And, because you can only give so much until you don't receive anything back. I'm talking about emotions as well. Absolutely. So that's why I had to learn my boundaries, to learn about that, to separate myself from these kind of people. And just preserve my energy now for the people who I need, who deserve this energy, and who I should be actually giving the energy to.
Yes. And you know what? You gave more than a meal to that man. And I'm going to say this to you because you gave him life, right? You gave him encouragement, and you gave him something that can't be bought because you made him feel like a human being.
Yeah.
You gave him a sense of purpose, that he matters. And that's more powerful than anything you could have, any amount of money that's more expensive. I mean, money can't buy that.
No.
You made this person have value. And that in and of itself speaks to you and who you are, because you took the time to fill a need that he didn't even ask for.
I think, you know what it is, when you're working on a spiritual level, I'm a very spiritual person. I feel like we've been put into this world to serve humanity.
Yes.
And I don't see it as a privilege. I see it as a responsibility. That's what it is. Because the time I start taking that as advantage or as a gratitude for myself, that's the time I'm failing, because I'm stopping to progress and be thankful for what I have and what I can achieve and what I can progress and what God has given to me. On the same morning, actually, I had, for instance, a young man sitting next to me about another table away, and he was having his breakfast while he was watching me and listening to me being live on TikTok. But I was talking at that time about life's purpose, being happy, and these are my usual messages, how you can create happiness within yourself and so on. So I looked over to him because I felt like he was really intrigued watching me. And I said, "How are you, my son? Are you okay?"
Wow.
He's a young man. And his face just suddenly lit up because he was feeling quite sad. And he started talking about his story, not actually explaining about what exactly happened. But that's could feel his inner sufferings, and that he was feeling responsible in pleasing other people where he wasn't feeling happy with. So I was explaining to himself, I said, look, you're so young. Life is beautiful. Start looking at yourself, what makes you happy. And other people will the right people will automatically become happy around you. You don't have to part from the people who you may be trying to please, but sometimes you just have to step back and internalize your things which are creating unhappiness, and dissect these things, remove these things from your life.
Yes.
So you gain your peace again. And he started listening to me, all these things, and he stood up and said, thank you very much. I will follow you on TikTok. I love your message. And I said, well, you see, and I said to him, look, there's a lot of other messages as well, and I hope they will help you, because a lot of people have been helped by that and inspired by that, and maybe it creates some peace in you. And he walked off really happy.
You see that? The power in just doing the right thing.
And, it didn't even take long. It didn't cost me anything. It only took a little conversation with that young guy to lift his mood again. And that's what it's about. It's about engagement. It's about talking to people. That's why I wanted to have you as my guest as well. Sorry, I've been talking so much, actually.
No, it's okay.
Talk. I just feel I want to connect and listen to people's stories who are actually creating a positive change in life, because that's what we need nowadays. We need to have impactful, powerful people who want to actually create humanity, want to lift us back to basics, where we came from, what we actually meant to do, what our purpose is supposed to be, and not be delusioned by all these modern facilities in the modern world.
So on that note, may I please talk about a campaign that I'm running for some schoolgirls in Ghana? So I had somebody reach out to me with some girls in Ghana who can't go to school every month when they're on their cycle because they don't have access to product. So they're just hemorrhaging all over. So they can't go to school. So I'm running a campaign right now. I've partnered with a few companies to buy menstrual cups for these girls and give them to them for free. And here's the good thing about these cups. Each cup lasts for 10 years. It saves the environment because you don't have this waste going, you don't have sanitary napkins and tampons going into the waste every month. And it provides a job for a local woman because they're going to sew the pouches that these girls keep this in. And it just costs $10 per cup.
Nice.
So we're asking people if they could find it in their heart to donate a minimum $10. If you could do more, we would be happy to take it, but $10 minimum. And that $10 will support one girl for 10 years. It'll supply a job to a local person who doesn't have any income. It'll help save the environment. It also comes with education because we not only educate the girls on how to use the cup, but we educate the boys on what menstruation is, because there's a stigma over there and the girls get bullied when they're on it because of lack of understanding. So you do all of that. Will do for a minimum donation of $10. You can get the information off my website. If anybody finds it in their heart to support and sponsor a girl, I would really appreciate it, because our children need us and they don't have any money to buy these things for themselves. So one $10 donation will cover somebody for 10 years.
That's wonderful to know. I mean, if you share the link with me, if you send it to me, then I will share that on all my social media platforms with this podcast.
Thank you.
Well.
I really appreciate that, because these girls, I'm hoping to present our goal is to raise enough money to buy 1,000 cups to present to 1,000 girls when I go in October.
That is wonderful. That is absolutely wonderful. No, I will endorse that. If you send me that link, I'll share it all over social media.
Thank you so much. I appreciate that. I really want to help these girls because their story just broke my heart.
Yeah.
They can't go to school. They can't do anything. And then they're bullied because the boys don't understand why it's just not a good situation.
No, absolutely. And people don't understand how privileged we are here in this Western world, that we have access even low social status person who comes maybe from a poor background still can afford a lot more than somebody who is underprivileged from a third world country, who doesn't
Yes,
have these resources. So we must
exactly.
understand that the same little story which I talked about this homeless guy who purchased a meal. If we can afford £8 for our own breakfast or for our own meal, why shouldn't we be able to do that for somebody else? And $10
Exactly.
is not a huge amount.
It's not a lot. And especially when it's going to cover somebody for 10 years, it's going
That's
to
right.
give somebody a job, it's going to educate people. I mean, it's going to save the environment. I mean, you can't get more for $10 anywhere,
No,
in my opinion. It's a
no,
good deal. And when I heard their story, I said, I have to do something to help. And so that's what I'm doing. I'm trying to get donations to help these young girls, to give a job to somebody in the community so that they can feed their family, educate these boys so we stop the bullying, because that's a
yeah.
big thing nowadays, the bullying. We're going to do our best in our part to stop that in these communities. And so, yeah, that's what we're doing. And I'm hoping that people will find it in their heart to just help us, please. We can't do it by ourselves. It takes a village. We are the
Absolutely.
village. Everybody listening to this is part of the village.
Yeah.
If you're able, let's do our part.
Absolutely. It's so important. I hope a lot of people are listening to that. As I said, I will be sharing that as well. So it will go across everywhere where I can reach
And can I
reach
say
to.
this? If you're not able to donate, that's okay, but share it in your networks,
Yeah.
because maybe somebody in your network can, because it's all about numbers. The more people see it, the better chances we have of helping all these 1,000 girls.
Absolutely right. Absolutely right. No, wonderful. So at the end, I mean, we've been wonderfully talking over an hour, and I'm actually quite
Oh,
delighted.
wow.
Yes,
Oh
you
my
see,
gosh.
time went past so quickly. I told you my podcasts are always very organic. It never goes under an hour anyway, so it's wonderful. What I always say about my guests is I want to create an environment, and that's how I am naturally anyway. I've grown up in an Asian household, well, very hospitable anyway. But I take it to a different level because of the way how I am, and I feel responsible for that as on a spiritual level. Taking care of humanity, I want to make the other person feel like they're sitting there with a cup of tea or coffee, and we're sitting there in the lounge and just having a little chat. I want to make them feel comfortable and not being in an interview or being broadcasted somewhere, or me being cross-examining you in any way. So the questions will come naturally, and it should be a
Yes.
free-flowing way. So you should be feeling nice about
I had
that.
a wonderful time. Yes. I
One
can't
question.
believe it's been over an hour. I'm like, what? When you said that, I was like, let me look at the clock. What?
That's a good sign that I've done my
That
job
is.
right. So before you go, I wanted to quickly ask you about your amazing life. If you could maybe enlighten my audience on where you come from, how you actually created all of this, we've seen your passion anyway, but it would be nice to have a little summary about your life and about your engagement and work.
Okay, so I was born and raised in the United States, Arizona, which is in the southwest part of the country, down by Mexico. So I do speak a little bit of Spanish. I'm not fluent, but I can get by. And I was raised I came up during a time, I was raised during a time right out of the civil rights movement. So it was a little rough. My family was the first African-American family to integrate the neighborhood we moved to. So it was kind of hard. So I grew up with those experiences. And then I think that's what drove me to be passionate about inequality and being mistreated, and to stand up for people, because I suffered going through grade school, being called all kind of names, monkey, and you name it, right? Because of a lack of understanding. And so I grew up with that. And then as I became a teenager and my parents took us traveling to different countries, I got to see that really I don't have it that bad, because I have shoes, I have a bed to sleep in, and a lot of people in these other countries don't. So that's what started me to thinking globally. So then as I got grown, I said, you know what, I can't be happy knowing that I have all these things and there are people suffering and I can do something about it. So I embarked on a mission to start doing humanitarian work.
Right.
In the process of doing that, I started wanting to bring these projects to the continent of Africa. And it started with a dairy farm, because
Right.
dairy is a big thing on the continent, right? So in the process of doing all of that, I met my Sarkin, who is my chief. He's part of the Fulani royal family over there. He
Right.
liked what I was doing. They adopted me into their family. That's how I became a queen. So
Oh,
I am a
wow.
real one. I just don't call myself that. I am a real one in two kingdoms, the Fulani nation and the Imbo kingdom. That's how I got into that. And so I do a lot of work on the continent, trying to bring economic development projects that will better humanity. I work with a couple of women empowerment groups over there, teaching women empowerment. And I do a lot of human rights training, because here's the thing about human rights. Most people don't know they have them.
Yeah.
And
True.
so I feel like, since I know I have them and I know everybody has them, I try to tell everybody you have them too. So I do a lot of stuff like that. And I use my social media platform to encourage women to come together. Like I said earlier, I'm big on the sisterhood. I'm coming out with a platform, Lord willing, in January, where we can all tell our stories. I'm hoping people embrace it, because I think it's going to be powerful if I can get the women involved. And that's just what I do. I operate from a place of heart.
Yeah.
I don't care what a person looks like. I don't care how much money they have. I don't care what religion they are. I don't even care if they're atheists. If you're a human being, you matter to me.
You're speaking out of my heart.
Yes. So that's what I move off of things that I'm passionate about. If it's going to help somebody, I want to support it. That's why when these people reached out to me from Ghana, I was like, what do you mean they can't go to school? What? I just couldn't sit by and not do my part. Yeah. So, that's what I'm passionate about, helping people. People matter to me. That's my life story. That's my mission in life, I don't care about being popular. I don't care about any of that kind of stuff. What matters to me is, are you doing what you can do in your space, in your time, on your platform, no matter how big or small, to make a difference in somebody else's life? If you're doing that, then you're being successful. Don't let numbers dictate success, because numbers don't matter. You can have 10 million people, and if you're not touching the life of somebody, then your work matters not.
Absolutely. Absolutely.
If you have 5 people and 4 of those people, even 1 of those people, life has been changed because of something you're doing, you are a success. Yeah. So I'm saying, do whatever lane you're in, whatever platform you have, even if you just have 3 people, it doesn't matter. Work with those 3 people. You know what? Each one teach one, and you grow. You start in your local community and you grow. That's what I did. You start doing things in your local community, start with your family, wherever. Go with your passion. Everybody's passion is different. It might not be what mine is, but everybody has a role to play in society. And there are different things. So if you're not passionate about necessarily helping people, but you're passionate about, I don't know, being a teacher, go teach what you're passionate about, because it matters to somebody, right? Yeah. So just walk in your passion, live your passion. That's what I'm going to say.
And that's such a powerful, that's such a power, absolutely. That's such a powerful thing to say. When you do something, do it with full passion.
That's right. Do it from the heart. And that's what I want to leave people with. Live your passion, no matter what it is. Well, if it's legal. Yeah, and it doesn't hurt people. Let me throw that out there. If it's legal and it doesn't hurt people, live your passion.
That's so beautifully said. I mean, you have actually enticed me. I'm a great humanitarian anyway, but if there's anything I can do or engage, please do contact me,
Most definitely.
I would love to do something, especially when it's meaningful things. And I mean that, feel free to contact me. If I can spare some time and do certain things, then I will certainly do that.
Thank you. I appreciate that. And we can start with these girls. So that fact that you're sharing it out means a lot to me. I'm so appreciative and grateful for that. Thank you so much.
No, thank you very much for supporting these girls. For sharing this story with us. But if you send me the link, then I will share it all across my social media. I will make sure
most definitely. I will do that today. Thank you.
That's wonderful. Thank you. Thank you very much for taking your precious time and spending it with me. I'm
Thank you
so
for
happy
having
to.
me.
Thank you so much.
I'm
I'm so
excited to
glad.
have been here. I enjoyed myself. We had a great conversation. This was wonderful experience. And I just can't tell you, I'm so grateful for you having me here and asking me to come. Thank you so much. Thank you to everybody who tuned in. Thank you in advance for everybody who's going to donate. Thank you to everybody in advance for who's going to share this out to their group. I appreciate you. Thank you.
Thank you very much for our audience. We had the lovely Queen, Her Majesty Ameenata, and she's a wonderful person. If you listen to our story and if you listen to our work, please donate also for these young ladies, for these young kids. I will be sharing my link all across my social media. So if the more you can help, the more you can engage, just $10 per child. It would help, it would make such a difference for them for 10 years. So please do so. And yes, please follow me and subscribe to my channel if you want more of this lovely content. And this live will be recorded as well. Feel free to share it if you would like to. I will share the link with you directly as well.
Most definitely, I will do that.
Yes, thank you again. And please feel free to contact me. I'm really actually delighted to have met you. You're a wonderful person.
Thank you. I'm so excited to have been here. Thank you.
Thank you. You have a wonderful day. Take care of yourself. Bye.